So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers out there, and welcome to another series of intimate conversations. And if you feel compelled to subscribe to my YouTube channel, absolutely do that. I would appreciate it very much. Also, today we're having a chat with Jayne Higgins. So, welcome, Jayne.
Thank you, Mandy.
So fun to have you here.
I'm getting used to the idea.
Honestly, it's I get it's a little nerve-wracking. Jayne and I have known each other for many years. We both live
Mhm.
here in Northland and Whangarei, and Jayne has been doing her thing for many years and is is quite a I want to say shy person in many ways. And so when I asked her to come on the show, she was a little apprehensive, but we've got her here. So I love what Jayne's been, putting her life into, her purpose, her work, her mahi, whatever we want to call it. And I felt that it was time that she came on to Intimate Conversations. So here we are. I'm just going to introduce Jayne and read her bio. So just let me get that. It's not moving. So, Jayne, your path to wellness and empowerment with 14 years of experience as a massage therapist, Jayne has developed a deep understanding of the body's needs, and the power of healing touch. Over the years, she's expanded her skill set of becoming an Access Consciousness Practitioner and currently completing her Bowen Therapy studies. Jayne's passion is empowering and supporting her clients to thrive both with their body, mind, and spirit. Whether you're looking for relaxation, pain relief, or a deeper sense of balance, Jayne invites you to experience a transformative session that supports your well-being and helps you live a vibrant life. Beautiful, Jayne. And yes, you were very busy just recently going through your Bowen studies. Oh my goodness, you're good. So first question, were you a consciously aware child?
No,
So
not
how
at
did
all.
so how did you wake up really? What was the awakening for you and how did that roll?
Um, I think, when I look back now, I can see lots of things that have come into alignment to get me to certain places. I can always remember, I must have been about 16 actually, Mandy, I didn't tell you this, but I read a book of, I think it was Doris Stokes. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can visualize it and see it and know what she was talking about at the time, and that was probably my real first introduction to something that was completely different, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I came to New Zealand, it was like I came home actually as well. So that
Hmm.
was a weird, like I had no idea what I was coming to, but it felt like I was coming home at the time. So what didn't phase me or anything. And then just different things happened along the way to get you to wherever. And I think probably one of the biggest things was going through a separation.
Hmm.
Um, and honestly, when I totally unaware that was anything of any issues in the marriage, um, but I actually turned around to him one night and said, "Well, do you want your dinner or do you want to pack your bags?" And that was it. And it's like I have no idea where those words come from, and that's how it started type thing. So obviously that was the start of something different for me, really. Um, so yeah, but in that time I'd already met different people along the journey. Like there's so many people that have added to my journey that we're not even going to start mentioning names because the
Yeah.
list is just too big and you just you know
Yeah.
um yeah, so that was really the start of it,
Mm.
really.
It's um it's interesting because things like that pop in and you don't really know where they come from. You just
Oh,
know that actually I have to do that, whether you understand it or not. You just
yeah,
know the feeling state within you is that you have to do it.
yeah.
And it's interesting too how many English or British come out to New Zealand and say that exact words that they
Mm,
felt like they'd just come home.
yeah.
It's quite interesting, and I felt like that when I went to the UK. It was feeling like a coming home for me there. Not that I wanted to shift there and live there or anything, but it was a nice feeling. So I think our bond, a lot of us have come from, well, our ancestors really, are British. We're all English British. Um, so Jayne, what did you how did you manage as a child? Like, was there any sort of direction shown? Do you know what I mean? Like, excuse me, I wasn't, my parents weren't religious in any way. They didn't really even talk about God. I think I probably heard that word mentioned or that name mentioned probably twice from my
Mhm.
parents throughout my whole life. Like it
Yeah,
was never something. And I was really thankful of that because I was never herded into a certain direction. I could actually find my own way throughout, not having a religious sort of shoved at me.
yeah.
So did you have any of that sort of thing? Like was there
Um, I was brought up in a small village, so we
Mhm.
went to Sunday school, but we all did.
Right.
We never went to church. My parents never went to church. You know, there would be harvest festival or things like that, but it was just the thing that the kids did in the village. You went to Sunday school.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, so I guess there was that, but I don't know if it influenced
No.
anything. It was just, it's Sunday, we go to Sunday school. Just like
Yeah.
Monday, you go to school and this is when, when I was primary age, not so much going into the upper levels of schooling or
Right.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
So then, so certain people came onto your path,
Yep.
and you just started like was there an inner pull? You must have had a bit of an inner pull, pulling you towards more information, more
I
understanding.
guess, yeah. But it's like, where do I start with that inner pool?
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I joined the Wongarei Healers first, Mandy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I can remember sitting down and talking to, I always had big shifts over the Christmas period, and that was often when the kids were with their dad. So, there was always some learning, a book to read, whatever, but always,
Right.
oh, Christmas is coming, what's happening? And I can remember sitting down with Wayne Christensen, and because they were good friends,
Oh,
our,
she's Wayne.
our girls are the same, are the same age.
Yeah,
And I sat down with him one day and talked about um, the healing and da da da. And he said, "Oh, you should come along to the meetings and that and talk to Shelley." So I talked to Shelley and all the rest of it. But at the time, I couldn't really go to the meetings because my girls were too young. And I
right.
lived out at Nungaroo at the time as well.
Yeah,
So it was all a bit too hard to do the meetings. So that was sort of my first introduction. And when I could, if the girls were away, I would go. So that's really my first introduction to doing sort of hands-on stuff, I guess. Um, and then I was doing a bit of that. And then, of course, this was another January event. Susie had given me the journey book.
yeah.
And then I read it through, and then the Rainbow News came through. I had a lot of these sort of things, and the journey was going to be in Auckland. And I thought, oh, okay, tied in with the kids being away again. So I jumped on board um, and did it, and it was just really quite fascinating. I'm in a room with all these people with lots of trauma, and you feel, what am I doing here? I've lots of those moments where you
Yeah.
think, I've got nothing wrong with me. But, now, there's all little things.
Yeah,
But, some of the big stuff's phenomenal that people go through, and
totally. Mm,
sitting there with like 500 odd people was like, wow. So that
mm.
was really interesting 3 days, because I actually did a third day as well. Um, yeah, so then I did some other journey work as other classes and stuff. So I did all that before I even stepped into the massage side of things,
Right.
you know?
So did you go through with the journey training? Did the
No,
practitioner training? Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
Because
no.
I would have been at that meeting. That was the first time Brandon ever came to New
It
Zealand.
was about 2006
Yeah,
at the ATS Centre.
yeah,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was pretty far out there type thing for
yeah.
me at the
It
time.
was huge. And I mean, I followed through. I went and did all the training with her.
Yeah,
I was lucky to then because we actually trained with Brandon personally, and it was
yeah.
really lovely.
It was a
It's,
huge financial commitment, but sort
yeah,
of, and
for sure.
you had to do it in this time frame, so it just
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
feasible for me. So,
yeah.
it was just my own healing. I guess that's what it all is anyhow. It's our own healing journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every time, every time you interact with a client, there's some aspect that's is clearing for you as well, I believe. I often say
Mm.
things to clients and I think, oh goodness, I should listen to myself.
I know that's often the way though, isn't it? Until you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a
Yeah.
bit of a giggle, isn't it? But I mean, when I first started really bringing all of this into actually working with people,
Mm.
clients, I was still on a major healing mission myself within
Yeah.
myself and getting to know more about me and how I work and whatever else, and removing as much trauma as possible through it. So it was a huge learning curve, our growing, our getting
Yeah.
to know, our expansion in itself was huge because we
Mm.
were the wounded healers, that's what
Yeah.
we were. And and it was big, but I tell you what, I think we've had it at the best time. We've really grown up in the best time, Jane, I reckon.
Yeah.
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 And now it's all getting pretty crazy. But so so how was your family? Like was there anyone in there that had, done any sort of body work, healing
No,
type energy work or
no,
anything like that? Nothing.
not at all. I do now wonder about my grandmother. Like my
Right.
grandmother was probably way before her time, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So in I she did things, she knitted most amazing stuff. Now she was pretty much housebound to a degree because she had a bad heart, which, these days they would have fixed it. But in those days, there
Yeah.
wasn't the technology or whatever they do now.
Mm.
Um, but when I hear mum talk about, the things that Gran did, like, and it's just simple things, but I think she was always seeking knowledge, maybe.
Yeah.
And, like for my mum's, I don't know if it was her 18th birthday, which these days it's common practice. But my mum's 82 now. So if you think back, when she was 18, my mother made pizzas with anchovies on.
Right.
You just wouldn't have had pizzas like
Right.
you've got to go down the road these days and get a pizza. But that was, there's just lots of things like that she did that most people wouldn't have even been aware of,
Right. Yeah.
and her knitting, yeah, there was a lot of stuff and um, that she did. And I just do wonder, she had a pasta maker and, she just did.
Right. Things sort of a little ahead of a time.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, definitely do think that sometimes.
Yeah.
But sort of, you know, um, we had planned a trip back to the UK and she actually passed before we actually got back. So
Mhm.
that was a bit hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, so had to do a lot around that for sure.
Yeah, I bet. I
Yeah.
bet. You know, that would have been, yeah, not fun.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And what was your pull to come out to New Zealand? Did you mention that or not?
Well, I met my ex there. We worked together. To be honest, I probably didn't have a clue where New Zealand was.
Right.
I had never flown.
No.
So, it wasn't, I wasn't one to just, like in those days, it was like go to Spain for a holiday, and that didn't interest me. And I was 21 when I came out here, so I was just working basically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we met over there. Um, and yeah, that's, made it quite clear that he wouldn't live in the UK type thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's pretty much my entry in here, although
Mm.
you still got to jump through hurdles just to, get
Yeah.
a visa and stuff like that at the time.
Yeah. And no desire to live back there, Jane? Like,
No, no,
no.
in whatsoever. I've got mum here. Mum's here now as well, so
Yeah.
but the life we have here, I feel that even my girls, and my grandkids, they wouldn't be living the same life.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot
Right.
more freedom and
Mm.
to a degree, a more outside life, as
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, cool. So, so when you're working, Jane, how do you work? I know you do your massage and it's
Mhm.
like because you're very intuitive, eh? And you pick up on what's going on in the body in more ways than one.
Ye- yes, I guess I do.
Mhm.
I it's interesting because I can be work massaging. It's like, oh, why am I'll just be focusing on one area for whatever
Mm.
reason, and I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. I often say, God, it'd be nice to see what's going on in the body. Because you read about people who see what's going on, then it's like, oh no, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, I know, eh?
And I feel that sometimes that could actually hinder what you're actually doing anyhow. So I
Yes.
just trust the process,
Yeah.
and do whatever I'm drawn to. And sometimes it's what I say,
Yeah.
you know. I don't, um, I'm trying to say it and I can't even say it, but I don't feel like I channel, but there are times when I obviously do. It's,
Yeah.
you can't give me a pack of cards and I can give you well, I could probably give you a message. Brent tells me I can give you a message all the time, but
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
It's more just me doing my mahi. It's me doing whatever. And sometimes it's about educating people as well. So there's,
Yeah.
you know, um, about what's going on in the body, or, if they're complaining of being really sore at this time of year and their arthritis is sore, it's like, how many tomatoes are you eating? It's like,
Mhm.
those tomatoes are aggravating your body right now. And,
Yeah.
they just have no idea. So it's like, yeah. So although I'm not necessarily aware of something, I can usually pick up when something's a bit stuck.
Yeah.
And it depends how I'm working. If
Yes.
I'm massaging, if you've booked to come in for a massage, there's also, I have a wide range of clients. So, um, some clients will never ever see this, Mandy, because, they
Right.
watch what you're doing, they're not
Yeah.
following you. So
Yeah.
there is a mindfulness thing there about how I interact with different people. But,
Yes.
but generally, when I first started massaging, it was like, I didn't want to do rugby players,
Right.
I didn't want to deal with that. And I wanted the more spiritual person, but it was like, but, um, but that was just what I attracted anyhow,
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
you know?
Yeah,
So you attract who's right for, you know.
you do. Yeah, you
Mm.
do. Yeah, no, cool. And do
Yeah.
you like have you thought about running classes Jayne? I know I'm going to push a few buttons, probably.
Thanks, Mandy. Classes on what, Mandy? Any ideas? No, in a short. No, and I I guess uh what would I teach on? We've
Well,
gone over, Brent talks about teaching, he talks about teaching classes. But at this stage, I don't really have that desire. Perhaps I'm more doing stuff one-on-one, maybe
yeah,
unconsciously, rather than, you know, standing there and with lots of people.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I used to teach the bars, Access
Yes.
Consciousness.
Oh, yes.
I don't teach that anymore.
Yeah,
Um, just because things evolve and you evolve, and the effort and it's like, where do I want to put my energy and put my energy into?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's lots of, and of course I also use, particularly if I'm, because I have a healing massage on my booking thing. So if
Hmm.
people book for the healing massage, then that gives me permission to do anything,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I
Yes.
can, lay crystals on them. I can do light language. I can, but generally one of the big things I do use in those is the essences of the rainbow essences from Rob.
Right.
A
Yeah,
huge
yeah,
learning curve for me.
yeah.
So I do use those, and I use them energetically. And I can be working on their body, and it's like I'm stuck, literally just massaging the same place. And then I just have to say it, what's there, because it's like, I can't say that. But unless I say it, I'm just look like a bit of a,
Yeah, I know.
you know?
It's like that. Yep.
Yeah, so they give me full permission to go all out and, you know, drum and
Mm.
light language, whatever needs to come up. And sometimes none of that comes up. It's all different.
Yeah, yeah. And that's I think that's the I want to say the gorgeousness of energy work and just allowing the divine to come in and just show you what I'll say, like,
Yeah.
to leave all that wide open so that in the moment, being present with that client, you're really tuning into what they need, what they require, not what you think they should do.
Yeah.
And it's a very, it can be a very interesting and different session in that way, eh?
Mm.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you get to play like that because it's I know with massage it's just a certain thing, isn't it? And you're sort of just honing in on that one thing, even though other things are coming in on it. Your intuition and your
Yeah.
knowing and all those things. But yeah, playing in that way is really lovely. So when
Mm.
did you start doing light language, Jayne? How often, like, does that come in the last little while, or has that been for quite a
Um, yes.
while?
So obviously I spent some time with Helen,
Yeah.
and it was when we were doing the retreats really out at Glenbervie before
Yes.
COVID, before those days. So yeah, as a group we would do it often.
Mm.
And, you know, at the time it was like strange and foreign, but now it just feels natural. Like I can drive down the road in the mornings to go to my room or something, and I can all of a sudden just come out of light language. And I
Mm.
and I have no idea what it means. I
I was
don't
just going to
know what
ask
word.
you, do you know? Okay. Yep.
Sometimes I'll have a word at the
Hmm.
end of it, maybe. But yeah, I have no idea, but it's just going, and it's like almost like you can't stop it. And then, sometimes I think, how do you even make those sounds?
Yeah.
They're just the
Yeah.
most bizarre set of sounds, really.
Mm.
So, yeah, I do quite like, and it's good for grounding me, that's for sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But
Do,
yeah.
do you get people like, are your clients, do they say anything about that? Like, is there anyone that sort of goes, oh my God, what was that you were speaking? Like, is that, do you get that
No,
sort of reaction or do people just
no, I
knowing
sort of
that's part of what you do?
I sort of explain that, when I am doing things, that, you know, this is the tools that I use, and I may do light language.
Mm.
And if I've done it with someone who's never experienced it before, they may have questions afterwards and stuff, which is
Yeah.
all part of the thing. Majority of people quite like it, you know.
Mm.
It's the same. It sounds amazing. You got to have that sound, you know. It's
Yeah.
just that vibration. It's like that vibration that goes through the body as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's pretty
I do
incredible.
quite like doing light language and
Mm. Yeah.
stuff like that.
It's it's interesting. I've heard quite a few people do light language, and I've had stuff come through me, but I don't sort of, I don't know, I just don't grab it in. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just, if it happens, it happens. But and it's taken me, or it took me quite a long time to get used to actually even toning, like bringing through
yeah,
sound and respect to that rather than just speaking publicly,
yeah,
it's quite
yeah.
different. And but there's not many that I really resonate with. It's not many that I have that frequency that goes, oh my God, this is Helen. Oh my goodness, hers, yes. It really,
Yeah.
brought me to tears actually.
Mm.
So there's certain ones, but yeah, lots and lots I just don't connect with at all. And it's quite weird. But I suppose it's like anything. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Like it's, you know,
Yeah.
anything in the healing world, you resonate with some people and you don't with others. And it's, I guess it's the same with
Yeah.
sound, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I use the drum and
Yes.
and I tap it over the body with the back of the drum facing the body. And it like sends out like vibration. And I had a lady one day, which I had used the drum with before. She said, you know, last time you did the drum, I just didn't get it. But this time, oh my goodness, you know,
Right.
what
Mm,
that was just amazing, you know. So it's people are only ready to receive it when they're ready to receive that as well,
exactly. Yeah, I
you
was going
know.
to say. And
Yeah,
something that's different in respect to like light language or even that lady with the drum,
yeah,
once she's got to sort of feel it and think, okay, yeah, whatever that was
yeah,
okay. She's more open to it in the next session, eh? And
yeah,
that's when
yeah.
something magical can really happen.
Yeah, and I always say to people, just feel the vibration. It's not necessarily listening to the sound, it's the vibration. You
Mm,
know, it's
mm,
the vibration that can shift stuff and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It was interesting. There's a great guy. I have no idea. Don't even take notice of the name, which is shocking. But I've subscribed. And he does sound bowl. The
yeah,
crystal sound bowls, and he's the only one on there that I found that really like it was affecting my body. I can listen
mhm,
to many, and there's no thing.
yeah,
And this guy, honestly, this night I was just laying there and I had him playing, and my whole body disappeared. It was the
yeah,
first time that it ever happened in respect to sound like that. I've done it going nucleus and different things, but this was my body disappearing to the point of the physical, and it was purely vibration. It
mm,
was like waves of vibration. And oh my God, it was so different. And things were leaving, like I could feel all this stuff leaving the thighs, in my thighs. Because if you go to massage me there, man, I'm so sore. Like, not so much now because I've allowed more of the massaging to happen, but it used to be really excruciating and just knots everywhere.
hmm,
And there was all this stuff just releasing out of my thighs. It was just incredible. And I've tried to go there again, and I haven't reached that point again yet, but that was incredible. So,
yeah,
and I got told at the beginning of, I think it was last year, that sound was going to become very important, that it
mm,
was now, time to really hone in on sound and frequency more so. And everyone
yeah,
got into sound healing and toning and like
yeah,
languaging, and it really went quite wild for a while there. It was great. I thought,
mm.
It is time. And then I saw those plasma rings around the body. I don't know if you heard that live. And I was seeing people, and then I'd see these plasma rings going around the body this way.
Right.
And when I questioned what that was, I was told they were plasma rings, and they were now repairing our sound body that had been damaged, which we'd had damaged for a very long time. And it was now, there were time in here now where we were repairing our sound bodies. And it was interesting because all the sound stuff started coming on. But yeah, so we've shifted something in respect to that, more of the healing within our own form, and field. So it's cool fun. So many different things coming on board. So what else, Jayne? You've just done your Bowen.
Yeah.
Was that a long haul?
You
Seems
haven't
like a lot
finished it
to it.
yet. I'm still writing up case studies, and
Oh
so they
yeah.
all need to be come back to me. And I've done all the training for it. It's just sending in. You have to do 60 case studies, and you have to
Mm.
see them 3 times each.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's, probably easier for me to see people than others because at least I
Yeah.
have my room.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have this aversion to the computer and stuff, so that's my struggle. And again, that's been a learning curve because different things have come up, from school or whatever, as to
Right.
why I,
Yeah.
um, things, just things like that.
Mm.
So, yeah, and I love what Bowen can do. And I looked at it in 2019 and seriously looked at it because I
Oh,
had
did
some
you?
Airbnb stuff saved for accommodation.
Yeah.
And so I did look at it way back then and then just disregarded it, which probably was the right thing for me to do considering where we were going after 2019.
Yes. Totally that.
And I kept saying, no, I'm not doing it, not doing it. And then a couple different things happened. And so it's like, okay, another of those, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
great modality though, and it has a huge effect. But like that flinch lock too,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
They
Done
are
one,
good
done one of those
modalities.
courses as well.
Have you? Yeah.
Only the one class.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. And I say I did it because I took a friend came with me and now she's doing it with the horses. So it's like, I got her there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly
you
that,
know,
eh?
wasn't
Yeah.
it's not the direction I wanted to go into, but she's doing it, so that's good.
Yeah.
It achieves something.
Yeah, for sure. And that's it too, we don't
Yeah,
know sometimes exactly what is going on.
no.
Yeah. If you,
And you're just learning all the time from everything.
yeah, you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
So yeah, so the Bowen, I've had some amazing results with some of my clients. They move on the table sometimes, and it's different for everybody. Everyone experiences it quite differently. But
Mm,
yeah, I'm looking forward to taking that further and doing more of it, really.
yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's a great, and I think I talk about this quite often now, is the healing crisis on the planet at the moment, so much going on.
Yeah,
And people are really coming in, I felt, in towards the end of last year. A lot of people were really focusing on their body.
yeah,
Was like the body was really pushing everyone to get in and change whatever, shift it,
yeah,
recreate it in a new way and clear out what was hindering. And it's really been showing up heaps.
yeah.
So
I totally agree with that. And
yeah.
I guess a lot of my clients now are like, well, what can I do to actually help my body through these years or whatever,
Yeah.
because, so many people can't even get in to see their doctors,
No, exactly that.
so
Yeah.
um, I think people are more aware that they need to be doing more.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And that's what I was when I said about teaching, or asked you about teaching, it
Mm,
was about the body, for me. It
yeah,
was like you could really run some classes on how to do and what to do, and just
yeah,
these tools to, assist themselves through it. Even that explanation around tomato and how it affects,
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
sorts of things. A lot of people don't know. They really
No.
don't know, but they are keen to find out now. You know, I mean, I think in respect to where we've been over the last 4 or 5 years, people are now ready to actually come together in person. They like that now, and like particularly with massage and even Bowen, you are connecting physically
Mhm.
to the body.
Yeah.
And even that is something that I think more and more people are acquiring now. They really want the touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nurture and the caring for their body now and being.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I reckon you'd get people in. I do.
I'll
Mm.
think on that, Mandy.
Yeah,
We'll
do
keep
that.
you posted. You will keep you posted on that one.
Yeah.
No promises right now.
No, I know. And it is
Yeah.
just in time, like there's so much going on. We've all been, I think, hibernating a wee bit too, just so we can get through our own shifts within.
Mhm.
And yeah, I can feel now there's a bit of a change in that. There's a bit of a change in gears, and we're
Yeah.
starting to sort of come out again and go, okay, yeah, I think this year's the one. And from what I can see, we've all hit the ground running. I can feel that, that's for
Yeah.
sure. So who knows? But yeah, it's all about becoming lighter, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our foods, you've
Definitely.
been doing carnivore for a while now, eh? And
Yes.
yes, doing
6
really well.
months.
Yeah, it's a great thing, eh? I like the carnivore.
Yeah, it works for us, and I get that it's not going to work for everybody.
No, no, not for
And
everyone.
it's yeah, it's quite, yeah, there's a lot of, people's thoughts. But I was also the person that said 3 years ago to a friend, "Oh God, I couldn't do that. I'd rather be a vegetarian."
Yeah, see?
So
You never know where your life's going.
yeah, so and I guess you only, and like myself, you only do it when you're, ready to do it. And I've been
Yeah.
listening to some podcasts and different things about that. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw your interview that you
Mm-hmm.
did, and I usually play them in the morning because we're usually up early, and I'd sit with a cup of coffee and just listen, and Brent would be there nodding type thing, and you
Yeah.
know, and that was really just listening to all of that. And then I think what really did it was I went to New World at 7 o'clock one night and couldn't get what I want, and thought, oh my goodness, if I was just a carnivore, I could get 2 steaks and go home.
Yeah.
It's
So
so easy.
easy.
Yeah. And that was it. That weekend we just swapped. It was just like, wow, So and not really knowing what we were doing, and not really knowing um if we were doing it right or
Yeah.
anything, but and so for me it was more around my decision to do it was I was hearing how people were no longer taking blood pressure medication, no longer diabetic.
Oh,
And,
no.
and I know that these things can change with different other plans and other things you might do. I've done the keto for a while, but just that things just start coming back in.
Mm.
Like, I haven't had any chocolate in the whole time we've been doing it. And so this was more about the health benefits. So I was
Mm.
listening to podcasts about the health benefits, and listening to like Ken Berry, who has that. And I like his questions and answers type thing because it's real people asking real questions.
Yes.
And I just find it fascinating. And it's like, well, if I can, and how many times do you hear of people who get a diagnosis of any sort that change their way they eat?
Mm.
Why do we wait?
Exactly. I know.
So for me, it
Yeah.
was like, well, let's just give this a go. And we do have the odd, few berries, or, I've had some strawberries and
Yeah.
some raspberries over the summer, but they're fresh,
Mm.
I will have a few mushrooms sometimes, but I only buy a few. I
Yeah.
don't go and buy a heap of mushrooms. I just buy a few to just go with a steak maybe, or
Yeah.
So, and an avocado, and generally it's because they've been given to me.
Mm-hmm.
So we will probably introduce more. When, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's like, okay, and it's actually a big learning curve for me as well, because it's, like your aches and your pains. It's like I never really, blood pressure, I can have high blood pressure. Not very good at taking medication, so it's probably good I
Yeah.
changed. So no other issues per se.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden you wake up one day and think, okay, it's a lot easier to get out of bed in the morning and walk to the bathroom instead of sort of like doubling over and all the soreness. But then over Christmas, I had some of that soreness and it was like, wow, that's really interesting. And just by, I don't even know what it was now, but I do it the other day. I had some lamb steaks and they were quite gamey. They were quite,
Ah, yeah.
next morning I was so sore.
Stuff in them.
So it was
Yeah.
just, usually I can eat lamb, but these lamb steaks, I still got a packet in the freezer, so they're staying there right now. But I will cook them a different way and just see if I react to them the same, So it's interesting how your body and how quick it reacts.
I know.
I haven't got my head around that, It's
Mm-hmm.
like um how,
Totally.
and even at the weekend, actually, I had some fish. I had bought some fish and I did fish and prawns. And the next morning I was sore again. It's like, wow, this is interesting. What have I done here? And I've had prawns and I've had fish separate, but not necessarily together. But I did put a bit of garlic in. So was it the garlic that inflamed me? It's just
Right.
like, it really makes you think about
Mm-hmm.
what you're eating.
Yeah. Garlic is actually quite a toxic thing for our
Yeah,
body. Apparently, I
yeah,
very rarely use any garlic, but
yeah,
it's incredible how much the body changes on carnivore. But when I started, so in the time when Lee was passing and I had to be down there, it was impossible to do my carnivore. It was like you can't just buy meat anywhere like you can to cook it, but if you're looking for food outside of that, it's really difficult. So anyway, I went, just went off it at that point, and oh my God, I could feel my organs like they were not happy. They
yeah,
were not happy. Because I order an organic meat, I don't buy it from the supermarket anymore. I don't want any of that stuff that's in there. I just don't want to. So I found the change in that alone was huge
yeah,
in not buying supermarket meat. And I buy from organic farmers here in New Zealand, and it's really lovely. And it's I can't say it's all that much dearer.
yeah,
It's just knowing that you're getting a good meat is great. So yeah, I do that.
yeah.
But the
I still
body,
buy I still buy supermarket and I follow the specials. That's how I,
yeah,
throw. But yeah, I do look at some of the online things, but it's just that initial layout sometimes of how much
yeah,
to do that first order.
yeah,
But I shop wisely.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
does,
Well, we have to today, eh?
and
God,
there's no waste.
yeah.
No waste.
No,
I buy at the supermarket, gets eaten. There is no
yeah.
waste whatsoever.
Isn't
Yeah.
it nice having, because you're not buying anything other than your cheese, dairy, and
Yeah.
the meat. And therefore your cupboards are cleaner and your fridge is cleaner and your freezers aren't as full and well, your meat might be in there, but
Yeah.
you're not buying all the frozen veg or whatever else it might be
Yeah.
that you needed to buy. And I loved that. Less
Mm.
was more for me. I really loved it.
Well,
Mm.
my pantry consists of tea, coffee, and herbs right now.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
emptied it completely.
Yeah,
I've sort of done one coal and then did another the other weekend and just cleaned it out. And,
yeah,
you
that's what I
know,
did too.
there's just not, because, if I wanted to pick at something, I'd go in there and there was nothing to pick at. So it's like, why have I got all this stuff in here, and
Yeah,
packed it all up and
exactly.
sent it off to my daughter type thing, It's quite a few things out of date, which I'm sure most people have in their things,
Yeah.
in their cupboards, especially
Yeah.
herbs and spices. So
Yeah, they're all good.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's fun. It's much better. I like it. I do. It's a good thing. And it was great in the sense of the body, definitely improved my body. And yeah, and we just keep going. It's good.
yeah. Yeah. So I think if people could see the what they're eating and how it affects their body as well, then that would make a huge change for a lot of people,
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure. For sure.
And even their sleep, even, how much better their sleep would be
Mm,
if they were eating less of this or less of that, and it's all
yeah,
different for everybody.
yeah, for sure. It is.
I know people that can have not sleep at night, go and have a cup of coffee, go back to bed and go to sleep.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
yeah,
be me.
yeah.
After lunchtime, it's like no more coffee type thing.
Yeah, my daughter's like that. She can't
Yeah,
she has in the morning. No, I can drink it and go to bed. No
yeah.
probs.
No, no, I
Yeah.
may have one early afternoon if I've gone out for lunch or something, but not after that. So we are all
Mm,
different. How our
yeah.
body reacts to different things, and what
Yeah.
we require, even
And-
just, you know,
Yeah. It's important to notice though, take notice and listen to
yeah,
it because I would know that. I would know these things, but I wouldn't listen. I'd just go
mm,
ahead and do whatever I wanted.
yeah,
Because that rebel in us too, it stops us from doing good things sometimes. It's like,
yeah,
don't listen to that, just do
yeah,
what you want. And so we
yeah,
do because that's what we're used to doing. But I really love the carnival thing. I think it's a great thing. And I've noticed so many people who are on it and who have done that lifestyle change and their bodies
mm,
are definitely moving better and are healthier and always. Yeah, it's great.
mm,
And it's so, when you look into it and you get, the truth around it is that we've been taught the actually opposite. And what I
yeah,
really loved about the carnivore in respect to how it is with our body is that our brain needs more fat. And the
yeah,
carnivore feeds the brain in the way that it needs to be fed. So there's no
yeah,
depression and anxiety stuff. Like, if you speak to a lot of carnivores, there's just this happy thing. There's
mm,
a happy buzz. The body's really happy. The mind is happy, the brain. So it's a really, I think, and when I realized that, Jayne, I thought that is why there's so much depression on the planet now with people and anxiety, I believe, because meat has become so expensive that people can't really afford to buy a lot of meat. And so therefore they're switching it into quick fix stuff, which
yeah,
is probably processed and
yeah,
and therefore the brain is not getting the fat that it needs and it's not functioning the way it needs to. And I
yeah,
think it's quite a big thing, I think,
mm,
in the health of the planet or humanity. But anyway, to each their own. People are,
yeah. And
a-
you're only ready when you're ready, and when you feel
absolutely
you
you
can
are.
do it.
Yeah,
Like I might buy, say, a couple early on in the thing because we weren't eating a lot of steak. I was just eating whatever was cheap, basically.
yeah,
Um, we'd have steak on Fridays. It's Friday, it's steak day.
yeah, yeah.
And I would go and buy a couple steaks and they would be potentially $20.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, I would never have done that in the past.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, it's Friday. I could have gone and got takeaways would cost me way more than that
exactly,
$20.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
my steak is, you know, you've got to really look at how you rationalize all these things. It's like perhaps going to the butcher and buying some nice sausages. I wouldn't say they're
yeah,
necessarily carnivore sausages because they all have the fillings,
yeah.
but we do like some of the sausages from one of the local butchers, and they might cost me more money. Actually, I don't think the butcher's sausages are much dearer than the rubbish you get at the supermarkets, personally.
No,
But
yeah.
then, if we've gone out in the morning, and often we would just stop at the bakery on the way home for lunch.
Yeah, This
And
is
that
it.
my sausages are cheaper than stopping at the bakery, and I've got more for the next day or to put in the freezer. So
Absolutely.
it's how you start actually rationalizing your choices,
Yeah, for
you know?
sure. It is. No, it's a great switchover. I feel it is
Yeah.
anyway. It's definitely
Yeah.
that. Cool, Jane. So
Yeah.
what have you got coming up? Is there anything that your projects that you're going into or you've started, or only what you want to share, of course? There's something you
Yeah, no, I think my focus really at the moment is to get to the end of that Bowen and get all my case studies in. And then once I'm there with that, then obviously we'll be humming with that.
mm,
Do have my regular clients that still do come along after they were a case study. They still keep coming.
yeah.
I would love that. I'd love to be able to share that with more and more people, and for people to actually, I think my ultimate dream is that people are actually aware that they have more control over their body than what they think they have.
Yes,
It's like that
exactly.
stress, and sometimes it's just taking that time out.
Mm,
You know, when was the last time that, if you went and talked to 10 people in the mall here in Whangarei today, when was the last time you just stopped for an hour? They probably haven't. So
yeah.
what happens if you stop and have a massage or have a Bowen session, or let me run your bars so that actually quietens your mind? Because,
Yeah.
once your mind's quieter, so much more can happen.
Mm,
There's so much
absolutely.
more ease that can be created, you
Yeah.
know. So, and clarity for a lot of people.
Mm,
So it's, we have to start doing that for ourselves. We have to sort of think about, what do I need to do for me? What
yeah.
what does my body desire? What do I require? Because particularly as women, as mothers, as grandparents even, especially with school holidays, we're going in all different directions, and we prioritize a lot of everyone else.
We do.
You know, mothers make sure the kids are all right. They're always making sure they're okay, and that, their partners are fine and work's fine. But
Yeah.
they're the last one on the list. They're the last one on the pecking order. And if they're not actually taking time out for themselves, somehow that doesn't work because we get sick.
Mm, yeah. For sure. And we talk about Brandon Bayes and the journey, and I've done so many internal processes within myself for so many years, and there'd be thousands probably, but one of the things that I didn't do was go for massage. I didn't go and do that thing. I never had people put their hands on my body. And so for me to start doing that, it was a real eye opener. I mean, I know we store stuff in the body, and then that's where we go to get it all. We get that, but to actually have somebody help you release the tension, release those knots, the toxicity in the body, that's a huge thing. It's a
Mm.
very important part, really
Yeah.
is. And I think you girls doing massage and guys, I think it's a great tool. It's a great process, and it really does activate and release for somebody who doesn't or hasn't done a lot of the internal emotional work. You can have a massage and those knots being, worked on, and they bring you to tears because there's emotion sitting in there,
Yeah.
and that toxicity. So it's a great thing. I think you guys do a great job for sure.
Mm.
And it must be hard on your body though, doing all the time, is it?
I, Not necessarily. If I'm a little bit sore, it's like, what am I doing wrong? I must admit, when I went back after having a couple of weeks off over Christmas, I looked at the table, thought, goodness, that looks low. And it's like, where's the height gone, So, but then, once you're back in the swing of it, it's just normal.
Yeah.
But when you see it and it's low, it's like, okay. But yeah, it's how you stand, how you work, and
Yeah.
also understanding, if something's aching at the time, it's like, okay, perhaps I need a tweak myself somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I do have a bit of a sore hand at the moment, and it flared up over the holidays, and I've had some Bowen on it. but I'm aware that it's coming from my shoulder.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's not just my hand. There's something up here. So where's the connection right through here?
Yeah.
So it's observing, for me, it's like observing that right now. And I can massage a lot of different people. I have no issues with it. Then I massage somebody else and it's like, oh, that's sore there now. It's like,
Oh,
why on that person and not the last person, or
right. Yeah, yeah.
why didn't it hurt you? It's not that I've used it more. It's the way I'm using my hand. It's the way I'm doing a move or something. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to observe it right now.
Yeah. And the bodies, like bodies are going to add height,
Yeah.
and some may add more height than others.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
might be what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe the table needs to come down for some that are
Yeah. Yeah.
create
And
more height for you.
yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting to
Mm,
observe your own body when you're doing it, really.
yeah, for sure.
And having massages, which I'm actually not very good at having.
Aren't
Um,
you?
I do have Bowen more regularly.
Mm,
And the odd osteo appointment every so often. But yeah, used to swap regularly, but that sort of fell apart as well. So it's like
yeah.
it's something that I need to do more often, basically.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
all do. We all
Yes,
do.
totally. I
Yeah.
don't as often as I'd like to, but I do get there, and it's way
Yeah.
better than what it used to be because it was never. It was never. I don't know why, but it just was. I didn't really put energy into me a lot in respect to
Mm.
that type of thing. Um, like I said, did all the internal processing, but I didn't really have the hands-on, which
Yeah.
is nice though when you do. Beautiful, Jayne. And you do the mind body expose with me and everyone else
Yeah.
who's here. And you're always busy. You always get a lot of people coming through.
Yeah.
You all do. It's a great thing. So anybody who's wanting to connect with you, Jayne, how do they get hold of you?
Facebook's probably the easiest place, if people are on Facebook. Um, yeah. If they've just put in Jayne Higgins massage, I'll come up.
Yeah,
That'll
beautiful.
that'll bring up what's happening and I've got online bookings, so that makes it so much easier for people because they can sit there at 8 o'clock thinking, oh, I'm sore, and go on and find an appointment the next day potentially, or
Yeah.
they can look at their diaries. So, took me a bit of persuading to go online, but it's just been a godsend. And because people
Yes.
can book whenever,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And there's not that back and forth stuff, eh?
No, because that
Mm.
can go on for days sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Just missing each other's calls, whereas
Yeah.
you've got your diary there, you can go, oh yeah, I'll book in there.
Mm.
It just makes life easy these days in our
Does.
busy lives, just something else that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
people can, text me and I give them a call back when we got time where we can talk about might what they actually do need, what their
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
requires. It's not necessarily, and sometimes people come in for a massage and then, sometimes they come in for a massage and just sit down and cry, and they just don't know why. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is why you're here today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Oh. It's great though, eh? I mean, either way, however it rolls,
yeah,
whether you actually put hands on or like that, sit and listen to
yeah,
somebody is important. It
mm,
really is.
yeah, most definitely.
Mhm. Oh no, beautiful, Jayne.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And thank you for coming on. It was really cool. And all the very best for this year
Thank you.
and beyond, because I think this one's going to be, like we're saying, we hit the ground running. I think it's going to be
Yeah,
quite a busy one. So all the very best and
thank
much
you.
love.
Thank you very
Mhm.
much, Randy. We'll touch base another time soon.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Jane.
this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye bye.